So last time we tried to dig into how comparison works and what the Dunning-Kruger effect is. But something very important we didn't touch upon, which is literally the reverse of the Dunning-Kruger effect, is the imposter syndrome. Would you be surprised if I told you that initially they thought only women can get it?
By definition, a psychological experience in which a person suffers from feelings of intellectual and/or professional fraudulence, also defined as the subjective experience of perceived self-doubt in one's abilities and accomplishments compared with others, despite evidence to suggest the contrary. Thank you, Wikipedia.
In fact, the phenomena was discovered by two female psychologists in the 70s, if I remember it correctly. And if I don't remember it correctly, it will be somewhere here because I have a lot of space here. They investigated on female researchers and intellectuals with very high IQ, up to 150, that continuously considered themselves inferior to other scientists.
And there are actually plenty of sociological experiments involving only the female gender. A very famous and relevant to our topic and many other topics experiment is the stereotype activation, one of the most elegant demonstrations of how identity priming affects performance. Asian American female students were tested at a math test. Before the test, they were divided in groups and subtly reminded of one of the aspects of their identity: female identity prime, Asian identity prime, and one group with no identity reminder. When reminded they were female, they performed worse on the math test. When reminded they were Asian, they performed better on the math test, while the control group scored in the middle. And obviously the reasons for those kind of results are purely sociological stereotypes, which can actually influence performance even without the person believing in them. Self-perception is very malleable, and this kind of identity priming can activate different cultural expectations and shift cognitive performance in measurable ways. All kinds of perception biases are equally common to everyone, just like
of the Dunning-Kruger effect. It's basically common to all kinds of people, not only female, not only male scientists, and not only scientists, to basically everyone who has studied and learned enough. Because once you dig into a topic well enough, you realize how huge it is, and then probably you will be never able to know every single thing or to master every single skill, just because, well, we don't live for hundreds of years.
And one conscious part of your brain realizes that, but the other one doesn't. All because the following is happening.
Our beloved amygdala, which as always is responsible for a lot of emotions in your brain, signals to your prefrontal cortex telling there is a threat and something is not working, which is actually, again, as with the comparison, painful and very dangerous. It triggers, again, our favorite fight-or-flight response. And next comes the stress chemical cocktail. You already know stress is not good for you, right? And here you can absolutely forget about rational thinking, your objective past achievements, or anything else to help yourself in this terrible situation. Finally, you hit the dopamine deficit. I'm not trying to rap freestyle here. Normally, when you finish a project, your brain rewards you with dopamine. Dopamine is also what is allowing you to feel proud. So no, let's get back to it again. There are no dopamine detoxes, dopamine is not all hurtful, and it's much more difficult than you think. You can't categorize hormones and neurotransmitters as this is bad, this is good, this is bad, this is good, because we need them all, even if we don't like them. But for someone with imposter syndrome, this dopamine release is immediately replaced with anxiety and fear. So you're basically starving your brain from the natural reward that it needs.
Further, various kinds of imposter syndromes were even categorized, like the perfectionists who set extremely high goals for themselves and who might really benefit on concentrating more of the raw draft of the work. Geniuses who judge their competences based on the ease and speed rather than the actual effort, basically too influenced by the speed of the media. And the soloists or solists who must accomplish everything early on their own. Asking for help is a non-existent option for them. I didn't want to make this video too long, so I made a separate page where you can take some kind of test for the imposter syndrome and learn more about the classifications and how to deal with them. Well, of course, keeping in mind that no site and no online platform can actually tell you what you are. They already have done it too much, and this is what brings us to the next chapter.
And now let's go back to sociology and let's go back to marketing, because we are living in a digital comparison culture about we've talked in the previous video. Because all of this distortion erupts our baseline for what normal or successful actually is.
Oh, I don't have a Lamborghini, I'm such a loser.
And then again, marketing tries to create the not enough phenomena, not enough deficit, which leads you to search for more and more and more. And then eventually you again are lacking a reward that you actually need because this was not enough and that was not enough too. If you have ever been to a business class, then you have probably heard something like, a good business is the business which can solve problems. First of all, you think of a pain, of a customer's pain, and then you come up with a solution to this pain. And it's okay if it's something natural and real, but what is happening always more often is that marketing strategies are based on first creating a pain and convincing you you have a pain, and then trying to tell you our product will help you with this. This is, of course, hugely unethical, and this is, of course, crazy, but yes, they do it. And if you look close enough, even in the neuro-linguistic programming or NLP of some advertising campaigns, you can see clearly how they are telling you you are not enough, you are not good enough, and if you do this or if you do that, if you buy our product, our service, or else, be accepted and be maybe even more skillful. It won't help you. You can draw fine with every kind of pencils, okay? In a world which is spinning at a crazy speed now, and everything seems so fast that you will never be as fast as the newest technology, when then you feel even worse because you think, why is it taking me so long to learn this one thing when all the rest of the world is already using it and is already doing crazy stuff with it? Here, one tiny gentle reminder: remember that not only we're living in different countries with different development rates, but there are also people who are a bit more wealthy and who can have early access to different apps. Maybe someone is not only wealthy, but someone is maybe witty or has more connections networking. Maybe someone is getting apps earlier than you. Maybe someone is getting to know new skills earlier than you, and it's not your fault if you're living in a goddamn god-forgotten country, a dead-end country. Guess what I'm referring to. And it's not your fault, okay? Just I was losing my mind. So finally, considering what is happening in your brain, considering what is happening in your world, and how these two things interact constantly, you have two sad paths. They are equally sad. One, you are trying to be super prepared every single second of your life, and eventually you will go into a burnout. Or, even better one, in my opinion, you will continue to procrastinate constantly because what's the sense? I'm so bad at everything. Why do I even have to worry about doing something because it will suck again? And you just don't do it. Eventually, you'll ruin your life, your career, your studies, and everything else, and I don't know if it's worth it. Eventually, we're having a spectrum where on one hand you can be too presumptuous, and on the other hand you have the imposter syndrome. If you are on the imposter syndrome side, you're like, I don't know anything, I know they will discover I am not as good as I was supposed to be, and I just don't want to try, or I have to try even harder and it will never end. Or you are on the other side and being like, I know everything, I don't need anyone's help. It sucks too, don't do it, please. In this spectrum, when you are in the middle, and you say, well, I know I don't know everything, but there are a lot of things, and I will try to learn as much as I can and eventually get better, then you are in a quite, again, as told in a previous video, empathic and nice place. Which brings me to this conclusion, which will be connected to one of the notions from the book, The Brain, the Story of You. I hope it's the correct book because I think I've met this kind of thinking in various books. Imagine yourself talking to you when you were 8 or when you were 12 or when you will be 40, 60, 70, 80. Imagine talking to yourself every time. And are you talking to the same person? Especially when you realize that you are you just in the second you are. The problem is never as big as you imagine it to be in the second you are thinking about it. After a few months, few years, it can become totally unimportant. And it's the same with imposter syndrome. Well, at least they say so. Imposter syndrome is something that is trying to hold you in one same position, the position of a fake or an imposter again. But science tells you that you are never the same person. Every single second, you change and you become a new person. Single word or every single sentence you read in a book or you hear from a movie or from your classmate or from your mother and father makes you grow up a bit more and literally rewires your brain. Every single piece of information. That's also why it's so important to choose the right sources of information instead of just doom scrolling. I saw you doing it. Stop doing it. I didn't say yours. I don't know why I said it. It sounds so terrible. Why did I say it? Oh my god, it sounds disgusting. The voice in your head that is telling you that you are not enough is actually not a sign of failure. It's just the voice of your brain working and trying to make you even a better person that you already are. Where is the button? Where is the button? Very hurtful consequences. They're here. Despite having very hurtful consequences. Oh, no. Yeah, I'm just like looking for my script. 12 years later. We have a spectrum of presumptuousness, I think it's correct. Damn this button, where is it?